When he was just 13 years old, a boy won a trophy. His father stood 3 meters away, yet he didn't hug him, didn't congratulate him, didn't say his name. He simply looked him in the eyes and treated him like a stranger. 3 weeks earlier, in secret, he had confessed to him, "I am Arnold Schwarzenegger. I am your father. But if anyone ever finds out, I will lose you forever." That boy was Joseph, and that day he didn't win his first award. That day he understood that to his own father, he was just a shadow. But Joseph wasn't the only child Arnold was destroying. While pretending to be the perfect father of 4 children with Maria Shriver, Arnold was building a second family in the shadows. And when everything blew up on May 9th, 2011, he didn't destroy just one family. He shattered 5 children simultaneously, each in a different way. In this video, you'll see the letter Patrick wrote 6 days after the scandal, but never sent. The 47 secret photographs Maria found sealed in a box in the attic, images showing 14 years of a parallel family life, and an entry from Arnold's private diary from 1989, where he wrote a sentence in German that explains everything. If the image is perfect, maybe the reality doesn't matter. There is a photograph from 1997 taken on the day of Christopher Schwarzenegger's baptism. In that picture are Arnold, Maria, Katherine at 7, Christina at 5, Patrick at 3, and baby Christopher. They're all smiling in front of the Catholic Church. It is the perfect image of a successful American family. But if you look to the left, there is a woman in a gray housekeeping uniform holding a tray of drinks. That woman is 5 months pregnant. The baby she is carrying is also Arnold Schwarzenegger's child, and everyone in that photograph knows it, except Maria. Remember the gray uniform. Remember the tray. Remember that she's standing while everyone else is sitting. We will come back to this. Thal, Austria, 1947. A 6-month-old baby cries in a stone house with no heating, while his father, Gustav Schwarzenegger, drunk on homemade schnapps, yells in German. Gustav had been a member of the Nazi SA since 1938. He was a police chief during the war. When the Allies arrived in 1945, they stripped him of everything. Gustav turned that humiliation into systematic domestic violence. He constantly compared Arnold with his older brother, Meinhard, the favorite son, the perfect son. On Sundays, Gustav forced Arnold and Meinhard to compete. Races in the frozen yard, push-ups, lifting buckets of icy water. The winner received a slap on the back. The loser got no dinner. Arnold lost often. Every defeat meant going to bed with an empty stomach and white knuckles gripping the sheets. October 1960. Arnold is 13. 3 older boys push him against a wall during recess. Arnold comes home and stands in front of the cracked mirror in his room. The mirror has a fracture running across the center. Arnold looks at his skinny body, his thin arms, and makes a decision that will change not only his own life, but the lives of 5 people who haven't even been born yet. He decides his body will be his revenge. He decides to turn himself into a living statue, something so big, so perfect, that it becomes impossible to hurt. He starts training with improvised weights, rusty metal bars, buckets filled with stones, tractor tires. He trains at 5 a.m. before school and again at 9 p.m. after dinner. Every repetition is an act of rebellion. Every muscle built is a wall between him and Gustav. At age 15, Arnold discovers an American bodybuilding magazine. The cover shows R. Park, the first British Mr. Universe. Park is 188 meters tall and 107 kilograms of sculpted muscle, posing on a California beach, tanned and smiling. Arnold buys the magazine. That night, he rips out the page with Park on it and pins it above his bed. Every night before sleeping, Arnold stares at that picture and repeats a sentence in German. "I will become so big that no one will ever be able to hurt me again." But there's a part he never fully translated. The full line was, "I will become so big that no one will ever be able to hurt me again. And when I'm big enough, no one will ever need to know who I really am inside." That second part is the key to everything. September 1968, London. Arnold is 21. He wins his first Mr. Universe. He walks onto the stage with shiny oil on his skin. The lights are blinding. His arms measure 56 centimeters in circumference. The judges have never seen anything like him. Arnold wins unanimously. He receives a trophy from R. Park himself, his idol. Park tells him in English, "You're going to be bigger than all of us." Arnold cries that night in his hotel room. It's the first time he cries since he was 13. His father Gustav doesn't attend, doesn't send a telegram, doesn't call. December 20th, 1968. Arnold's brother Meinhard dies in a car accident. He was driving drunk at 11 p.m. His car crashed into a tree at 120 km/h. He died instantly at 24. Arnold is in London when he gets the call. His mother sobs, "Your brother is gone. Your father is destroyed. You need to come home." Arnold hangs up and makes a decision that horrifies his family. He doesn't return to Austria for the funeral. When an Austrian journalist contacts him 2 weeks later, Arnold responds, "I don't belong to that place anymore." But here's the truth. Arnold did return to Austria, secretly. January 4th, 1969, Arnold arrives in the village at 5:47 a.m. Fresh snow covers the streets. He walks to the cemetery. He stands in front of Meinhard's grave for exactly 40 minutes. A neighbor recognizes him and captures the moment in a blurry photograph. The photo shows Arnold from behind, alone, wearing a long black coat. His hands are clenched in fists. He doesn't cry, he doesn't pray, he just stands there like a statue. The neighbor describes the scene years later. He didn't cry, he just stood there like a statue. When he left, he walked away without looking back. I never saw his face, only his back moving farther away. Arnold doesn't visit the family home, doesn't speak to his father, doesn't hug his mother. By 2 p.m., he's already back in London. Remember that image of Arnold with clenched fists. Remember that he didn't cry. Remember that he chose to remain a statue. This will be crucial to understanding what he would one day do to his own children. 30 years later, August 10th, 1977. Arnold is 30. He meets Maria Shriver at a charity tennis match organized by the Kennedy family. Maria is 21. She is the niece of President John F. Kennedy. She comes from American political royalty. Arnold comes from a Nazi basement in Austria. A last name no one can pronounce, a heavy accent. This shouldn't work. But Arnold understands something. Maria doesn't want a man from the establishment. She wants something wild, something impossible to tame. Their first conversation lasts 47 minutes. At the end of it, Arnold tells her something she will remember forever. I also know what it's like to live inside a photograph. The difference is, I chose to build my photograph. You were born into yours. Maria falls in love right then. April 26, 1986. They marry. The wedding has 500 guests. The photos appear on the covers of People Life, Vanity Fair. It is perfect for the media, and Arnold knows exactly how to sell perfection. December 13th, 1989, 3:42 a.m. Katherine Eunice Schwarzenegger is born at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Arnold is 42 when he sees his daughter for the first time through the hospital glass. It is the most vulnerable moment of his adult life. In an interview with Oprah 2 years later, Arnold would say, "I saw her tiny hands and thought, this is what my father could never give me. This innocence, this chance to begin without scars." But wait until you hear what Arnold wrote in his private diary that same night. There is a diary. Arnold began writing it in 1990. They are pages torn from notebooks, written in German in blue ink, kept in a safe in his Santa Monica office. That diary was discovered during the divorce proceedings in 2011. December 15th, 1989, 2 days after Catherine's birth, Arnold wrote in German, "I'm afraid of becoming my father. I'm afraid I don't know how to love without destroying." Then there's a line added afterward in darker ink. "But I do know how to build a perfect image. And if the image is perfect, maybe the reality doesn't matter." That line explains everything. It's the philosophy that will govern the next 22 years. It's the philosophy that will slowly destroy his children. Keep that sentence in your mind. We'll return to it. July 23rd, 1991. Christina is born. September 18th, 1993. Patrick arrives. He is the first son. Arnold holds him for the first time, and something in Arnold's expression changes. Later, he tells Maria, "Now I understand why my father compared us so much. When you have a son, you immediately think about legacy. You want him to surpass you, but also to resemble you. It's an impossible contradiction." By 1996, Arnold has built the perfect image. He is a movie star at his peak. Terminator 2 earned $520 million. He is the highest paid actor in Hollywood, making $25 million per film. But in August 1996, something changes. Arnold hires Mildred Patricia Baena as a housekeeper. Mildred is 35, born in Guatemala. She emigrated to the U.S. in 1985. She is married. She has an 8-year-old son. She is 1.62 meters tall with long black hair. According to her own description years later, she was invisible to most people in that house. She cleaned the bathrooms they used, washed the sheets they slept in, but no one looked her in the eyes. She was part of the furniture, except Arnold. Arnold sees her. Arnold talks to her. Arnold recognizes someone who is also building something from nothing, someone who is also invisible, or at least that's what Arnold tells himself to justify what comes next. January 1997, a Tuesday night. Maria and the kids are in Massachusetts visiting the Kennedy family. The mansion is empty, except for Arnold and the staff. 9 p.m. Mildred is cleaning Arnold's private gym. Arnold comes downstairs. They talk for 15 minutes, and then it happens. That night, in the service room, Arnold and Mildred have sex for the first time. February. Mildred becomes pregnant. By mid-March, she knows. She takes a home pregnancy test. 2 pink lines. Positive. March 23, 1997, she tells Arnold. They are in the garage. Arnold is cleaning one of his Hummers. According to Mildred, something in Arnold's expression changes. He becomes cold, calculating. Arnold asks, "Are you sure it's mine?" Mildred answers, "Yes." Arnold says something Mildred will never forget. "Okay, we'll manage it, but this stays between us. No one can know. Not your husband, not my wife. No one. Do you understand?" Arnold continues, "I'll take care of you. I'll take care of the baby, but no one can know he's mine." Mildred, pregnant, without strong legal status, dependent on that job, nods. And so begins the deception that will last 14 years. October the 2nd, 1997, 6:23 a.m. Joseph Baena is born at Bakersfield Memorial Hospital. He has Mildred's brown eyes and Arnold's unmistakable square jaw. September 27th, 1997, 4:15 p.m. 5 days earlier, Christopher Serge Shriver Schwarzenegger is born at Cedars-Sinai. Arnold has 2 sons born 5 days apart, one from his wife, one from his employee. Think about that. September 27th. Arnold is at Cedars-Sinai holding Christopher, surrounded by the Kennedy family, photographers, celebration. October the 2nd. 5 days later, Arnold is in Bakersfield holding Joseph in a room with no photographers, no family, no flowers. Just Mildred and Arnold calculating how to keep everything secret. And here's the darkest part. Mildred continues working for the Schwarzeneggers. She keeps coming 3 days a week, and she brings Joseph with her because she has no childcare. For the first 3 years of his life, that baby is regularly inside the Brentwood mansion. He is in the same space as Katherine, Christina, Patrick, and Christopher. The kids play together. Katherine, age 8, sometimes carries Joseph. Christopher, born just days apart, is often in the same room as Joseph. Both in strollers, unaware they are half-brothers. And Arnold watches all of this, day after day, year after year. What happens in the mind of a man who can hold his secret son while his wife is feeding their legitimate son in the next room? That question takes us back to that diary, to that line. If the image is perfect, maybe the reality doesn't matter. Arnold is testing that philosophy, and publicly, the image remains perfect. August 6, 2003. Arnold is 56. He announces his candidacy for governor of California on The Tonight Show. October 7th, he wins with 48.6% of the vote. The family becomes the perfect political family. The official photos show them smiling flawlessly. Katherine is 14, Christina is 12, Patrick is 10, Christopher is 6. But there is an unofficial photograph from 2004 that tells a different story. July 14th, 2004. Muscle Beach, Venice. A German tourist captures 47 photos that day. Arnold makes a surprise appearance. 200 people gather. He signs autographs for 30 minutes. One photo captures something no one noticed. Arnold is in the center, surrounded by fans, smiling. But 3 meters away, sitting on a green bench, there's a 6-year-old boy. He is alone. He's not asking for autographs. He's watching Arnold with an intensity the tourist described as unnatural hunger. The boy has a square jaw, a sturdy build, deep eyes. He wears a blue Lakers shirt. His hands are pressed tightly against his knees. That boy is Joseph Baena. Mildred brought him that day, telling him they were going to see where famous people train. She didn't tell him his biological father would be there. Joseph would write years later, "That day I felt something strange when I saw the governor. It was like recognizing someone I had never met, like seeing my own face in a mirror from far away." Remember this image of the hungry-eyed boy? We'll return to it. And then we reach January 2010, the moment that changes everything for Joseph. January 2nd, 2010. Joseph is 13. He lives with Mildred in Bakersfield, 179 kilometers north of Los Angeles. They live in a small two-bedroom house. Rent is $700 a month. Joseph knows his legal father is not his biological father. Mildred told him at age 8 that his real father was someone important who can't be part of your life publicly. Joseph becomes obsessed with discovering who he is. In his diary he wrote, "I search for my last name online every week. I look at photos of famous men and compare their faces to mine in the mirror. My jawline, my ears. Sometimes I think I'm losing my mind." That morning, Mildred finally tells Joseph the truth she has hidden for 13 years. "Your father is Arnold Schwarzenegger." Joseph doesn't believe her. Mildred shows him photos, pictures of baby Joseph with Arnold, bank transfer receipts, emails coordinating payments. The evidence is undeniable. Mildred asks him not to tell anyone, promising that Arnold will acknowledge him when the time is right. Joseph agrees. He has no choice. January 23rd, 2010. 3 weeks later, a friend invites Joseph to a youth bodybuilding competition in Los Angeles. Joseph has trained for a year because he watched Arnold Schwarzenegger videos on YouTube and felt a connection he didn't understand. 3:40 p.m. Joseph steps on stage. He wins second place, but the trophy isn't what makes the day unforgettable. Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the audience as a special guest. When Joseph comes off stage, Arnold is backstage. He sees Joseph with his trophy. He approaches and extends his hand. Joseph shakes the hand of the governor of California, knowing he is shaking the hand of his father. Arnold tells him, "You have incredible genetics, young man. Keep training. You have real potential." Joseph thanks him. Arnold smiles, pats him on the shoulder, and walks away to talk to other competitors, treating him like a stranger. What does that do to a 13-year-old boy? Joseph writes 3 days later, "Now I understand. I am real when no one is watching. I am invisible when everyone is watching. I am his son in secret. I am a stranger in public." Those words were written by a boy who had just learned that his father's love came with conditions. Joseph was the reality that couldn't matter, because it threatened the perfection of the image. While Joseph grew up in the shadows, the other 4 children were breaking too, each in a different way. Katherine is 16 when she develops her first eating disorder. She stops eating dessert, then carbohydrates, then she counts calories obsessively. In her 2010 book, Katherine writes, "I grew up in a family where perfection wasn't a goal, it was an obligation. Every photo was a production. Every dinner was a performance." By 17, Katherine weighs 48 kilograms at 1.72 meters tall. Maria sends her to therapy. A psychologist diagnoses her with bulimia nervosa. Arnold finds out through Maria in a phone call. According to Maria, Arnold asked if it was because of something he did. "I told him it was because of everything he didn't do," Maria said. Then he hung up. Christina develops severe anxiety at 14. She begins having panic attacks. She feels she cannot breathe. Her heart races at 150 beats per minute. Christina develops a deep fear of cameras, public events, anything where she must act like a Schwarzenegger. She graduates from Georgetown in 2014 but avoids public attention almost entirely. She doesn't have Instagram until 2019 and even then keeps it private. She gives no interviews. At a cousin's wedding, a reporter manages to ask her one question: "Why keep such a low profile?" Christina replies, "I grew up on a film set that never ended. I finally found the exit button." Christopher develops weight issues. In a family obsessed with perfect physiques, Christopher gains weight. By 2015, at 18, he weighs 140 kilograms. Paparazzi photos show him walking into Starbucks, wearing oversized hoodies, avoiding cameras. The media publishes cruel headlines. Arnold's son packs on the pounds. Every headline is a dagger. Every photo a public humiliation. And then comes the double blow that changes everything. The three oldest legitimate children are falling apart. Katherine at 48 kilograms with bulimia, Christina with panic attacks, Christopher at 140 kilograms and publicly humiliated. All three breaking for the same reason they still don't know. And while his legitimate children unravel, Arnold is taking Joseph, his secret son, to Disneyland, to Gold's Gym, to the beach, to private Christmases. The 47 photographs Maria will find in 2011 prove it. Arnold wasn't an absent father. He was a selectively present father. He was present, just not with them. That is the real betrayal. Not that Arnold had another child, but that while his legitimate children begged for attention, Arnold was giving it to his secret child. But there is a fourth child reacting differently. Patrick refuses to run from the image. He decides to become Arnold 2.0. At 14, he begins weight training. Arnold personally designs a routine for him. By 16, Patrick's body already shows the unmistakable Schwarzenegger genetics. He signs with LA models. He's 1.83 meters tall, weighs 88 kilo. He appears in campaigns for Tom Ford and Ralph Lauren. His face is on billboards on Sunset Boulevard. He constantly posts on Instagram, training with Arnold, recreating Arnold's 1970s workouts. On Father's Day, Patrick posts a photo, he and Arnold training together at Gold's Gym, both doing bicep curls simultaneously, like seeing two versions of the same person separated by 30 years. The caption says, "Building legacy with the best." The post gets 1.2 million likes. Comments flood in. Mini Arnold. The genes don't lie. It looks perfect. Patrick looks like the son Arnold always wanted. But there is a letter Patrick wrote on May 15, 2011, 6 days after the scandal erupted. Maria found the letter during the cleanup. After the separation, it was in Patrick's room, tucked inside a training book written by Arnold. In her 2023 autobiography, Maria quoted one line from that letter. The line that, as she says, broke my heart into pieces. It read, "I spent 18 years trying to be enough for a man who was never there when I needed him most. And now I find out that while I was training to earn his approval, he was secretly building another family." Remember that letter because it reveals a truth Instagram photos with millions of likes can never show. And now we arrive at May 9th, 2011, the day everything exploded. 7:15 a.m., Monday. Maria wakes up in the Brentwood house. Arnold is in Sacramento. Katherine is at USC. Christina at Georgetown. Patrick finishing high school. Christopher at home. Maria decides to clean the attic. 2:30 p.m., she finds an unlabeled box. A plain brown cardboard box sealed with yellowing tape. Maria opens it. Inside are 47 photographs. Family photos, but not of the family she knows. Arnold with Joseph. Arnold holding baby Joseph. Arnold teaching him to ride a bicycle. Arnold and Joseph at Disneyland. Joseph wearing Mickey Mouse ears. Arnold smiling, with that smile Maria knows too well. Arnold and Joseph in the gym. Joseph wearing training gloves far too big for him. Arnold adjusting his grip on a bar. Arnold and Joseph at a beach. Joseph building sandcastles. Arnold sitting beside him, barefoot. Christmas mornings. Joseph opening gifts. Arnold watching him. Joseph holding a toy fire truck. Looking at the camera with that unmistakable Schwarzenegger jawline. All taken during years when Arnold was too busy for Katherine's recitals. Too busy for Patrick's football games. Too busy for Christina's dinners, but not too busy for Disneyland with Joseph. Maria sits on the floor surrounded by these 47 photographs. Later she will say it felt like watching your entire life revealed as a lie in high definition. 3:47 p.m. Maria calls Arnold. She says 4 words. "I found the photos, Arnold." Arnold doesn't ask, "What photos?" His silence is confession. The call lasts exactly 47 minutes. Maria. "How long?" Arnold. "Since 1996. Maria. "Who is the mother?" Arnold. "Mildred." Maria. "Our Mildred?" Arnold. "Yes." Maria. "When was he born?" Arnold. "October 1997. A pause. Maria does the math. Christopher was born in September 1997. Maria. How many days apart? Arnold. 5 days. Then Maria asks something Arnold has never repeated publicly, but which she quoted in her autobiography. How many times did you hold him in your arms while I was asleep in our bed? Arnold doesn't answer. The silence lasts 23 seconds, according to phone records from the divorce. Maria, do our children know him? Arnold, yes, Mildred brought him when he was a baby. They played together. Maria, Katherine carried her half-brother without knowing? Arnold, probably. Maria hangs up. 6:30 p.m. Maria announces the separation. The statement is 3 lines long, cold, diplomatic. 7:15 p.m. TMZ publishes the first photos of Joseph beside an article titled Arnold's Love Child. The article includes pictures of Joseph leaving school. Joseph is 13, wearing a blue backpack. The photos show a confused child surrounded by paparazzi. In one of the pictures, you can see his eyes between the backpack and his arm. He looks terrified. And the pain multiplies by 5. The other 4 children learn about everything. Not from Arnold, not from Maria, but from the internet, from Twitter, from their buzzing phones. 7:30 p.m. Katherine is 21. She's in her apartment near USC studying. Her phone starts vibrating. She sees a text. Oh my God, Katherine, are you okay? I just saw the news. Katherine opens Twitter, sees her last name trending, reads the headlines, sees the photos of Joseph, sees the baptism photo with Mildred pregnant in the background. Katherine turns off her phone, sits on the floor, doesn't cry, doesn't scream, just sits there for 3 hours in silence. 10:45 p.m. She talks to Maria. Katherine asks one question. How many times did I play with him without knowing? Maria answers, probably many. Katherine hangs up. She doesn't speak to Arnold for 3 days. 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Christina is 19 at Georgetown. She's in the library. She sees 84 unread messages. She searches Schwarzenegger, sees everything, and walks back to her dorm in the rain with no umbrella. She arrives soaked, steps into the shower fully clothed, and sits on the floor with the water pouring over her for 40 minutes. Christina won't speak publicly about the scandal for 10 years. In a podcast, she will say, discovering that your family reality was fiction makes you question every memory. It makes you wonder if anything was ever real. May 10th, 2011. 10:15 a.m. Patrick is 17. He's in literature class. They're reading The Great Gatsby, discussing appearance versus reality. His phone vibrates nonstop, 127 times in 40 minutes. Patrick asks to go to the bathroom. He opens Twitter, reads the headlines, sees Joseph. Sees that Joseph looks exactly like he would have looked at 13. Sees Joseph has his jawline, his eyes, his bone structure. Patrick vomits in the toilet. A classmate finds him 20 minutes later. Patrick looks up and says, my father doesn't exist. He never existed. Everything was acting, and I was the only one without a script. That night, Patrick writes the letter he will never send. The letter where he writes that he spent 18 years trying to be enough for a man who was never there. He keeps the letter, doesn't send it, just keeps it as proof that his feelings were real. Christopher is 13, the same age as Joseph. He's at home when Maria returns from the attic. Christopher is in the kitchen eating cereal. He sees Maria enter with the box. She lays out the photos on the table. Christopher walks over. He sees a boy who looks like him, sees his father with that boy. Disneyland, the beach, Christmas mornings. Christopher looks at the dates. Christmas 2002. He remembers Christmas 2002. He was 5. Arnold wasn't there. Arnold had said he was in Sacramento for urgent work. Christopher goes upstairs, locks his door, and doesn't come out for 2 full days. Years later in therapy, he will say, in that moment, I understood that my entire existence was an inconvenience. Joseph was the child my father chose. We were the children he had to accept. And Joseph is 13, and suddenly the whole world knows who his father is. But his father doesn't call, not for 3 full weeks. May 10th. Joseph writes, my life exploded yesterday. Everyone knows now. Kids looked at me differently. My mom cried all night, and my dad hasn't called or texted. I guess now that I'm not a secret anymore. I'm not useful anymore. June 2nd, 2011. Arnold finally meets Joseph. It's been 24 days. They meet in an empty parking lot in Bakersfield at 7 p.m. The meeting lasts 15 minutes. Joseph tells his mother that Arnold arrived in a black Hummer, wearing sunglasses even though the sun had already set. That he didn't hug him, just shook his hand like a business partner. Arnold said, "I'm sorry your life got complicated. I didn't intend for you to get hurt. I'll be more present from now on, I promise." Joseph writes that night, "My father apologized because my life became complicated, not because he hid me for 13 years. He apologized because he was caught, because the image broke, not because I suffered, but because now everyone could see I suffered." The following years are pure fragmentation, 5 children rebuilding identities constructed on lies. Katherine distances herself from Arnold for 3 years. In 2019, she marries Chris Pratt. Arnold walks her down the aisle. The photos are beautiful, but if you look into Katherine's eyes, something is missing, something that never returned after May 2011. She has 3 kids now. She has never posted a picture of Arnold with her children. Christina almost completely disappears from the public eye. She moves to New York, works in low-profile film production, avoids Hollywood. In 2023, she writes about Mildred. "For years, I hated her, but eventually I realized she was a victim too, trapped inside the perfect photograph. Patrick keeps training, keeps posting photos with Arnold, but something has changed. In photos taken after 2011, Patrick never fully smiles anymore. In 2022, Patrick posts a video. People ask me if I forgave my dad. The answer is, I'm trying. The video gets 8.3 million views. Christopher loses weight, from 140 kilos down to 92. He graduates from the University of Michigan in 2020. He works in real estate. In 2021, he says, "I spent years trying to be something my dad would approve of. Now I'm trying to be someone I approve of." Joseph dedicates himself entirely to bodybuilding. Trains 6 days a week. At 25, his body is almost identical to Arnold's. In 2019, Joseph posts a side-by-side photo with Arnold. Caption, "Same genetics, different story." Arnold comments, "Proud of you." 2 words, 1.2 million likes. But in a 2022 interview, Joseph says, "Every pound I lift is a question. Am I enough now? I already know the answer. I will never be enough, because my existence threatened his image." Arnold releases his Netflix documentary, Arnold. Episode 3 dedicates 7 minutes to the scandal. Arnold sits looking directly into the camera. "It was my failure. There is no excuse. I hurt Maria. I hurt Katherine, Christina, Patrick, Christopher." A pause, then he adds, "Joseph had to grow up in secret because of my cowardice. That's not on him. That's on me." It is the first time Arnold publicly acknowledges Joseph as his son. "My son Joseph." Joseph watches the documentary the night it premieres, 11:47 p.m. He posts a video. His eyes are red. He simply says, "It took 26 years, but he finally said it. My son Joseph. That's all I ever wanted. I don't know if it fixes 26 years of being a secret, but it's a start." 26 years for 3 words. Today Arnold is 78. January 2025. He says, "If I could go back and change one thing, it would be having the courage to be honest from the beginning." Joseph deserved a father who wasn't afraid to acknowledge him. They ask him, "Do you think your children have forgiven you?" Arnold replies, "Some days I think yes. Other days, I'm not sure it matters, because forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't give back the years. It only means they decided to move on." And here is the final truth. Arnold spent his whole life building the perfect image to hide the Austrian boy his father never loved enough. He built muscle to form armor, fame to create distance, a family that looked perfect in photographs, because photographs don't bleed. Remember that image of Arnold with clenched fists at Meinhard's grave in 1969? Arnold decided that being a statue was safer than being human, because statues don't feel, don't hurt, cannot be wounded. Remember the line from his 1989 diary, "If the image is perfect, maybe the reality doesn't matter." Remember the photo from the 1997 baptism, with Mildred pregnant in the background, invisible. Remember Patrick's letter, 18 years trying to be enough. Remember Joseph on Venice Beach in 2004, watching his father from 3 meters away with hunger in his eyes. Everything connects. A man who learned that love hurts and decided it was safer to build statues than real connections, and his 5 children paid the price. Katherine found her answer by having children of her own and vowing to break the cycle. Christina found hers by walking away. Patrick searches for his every day in the gym. Christopher found his by becoming enough for himself. And Joseph searches for his in the mirror every morning. Arnold built the perfect body, the perfect career, the perfect image. 7-time Mr. Universe, the biggest movie star of his generation, governor of California. But he couldn't build the one thing his 5 children needed: a present father when the cameras turned off, a father who chose the reality of his children over the perfection of his image. And now at 78, Arnold finally understands. But understanding doesn't bring back the years. It doesn't erase the tears. It doesn't answer the question each of them has asked 1,000 times. Why was the photograph more important than me? If this video made you reflect on family, legacy, and the price of perfection, hit like and let me know in the comments. Do you think it's possible to forgive years of deception once the truth finally comes out? Because next week we'll talk about another dynasty that built empires while their children paid the price in silence. Another family where the perfect image hid real pain. Another father who learned too late that public success doesn't compensate for private failure. And what you'll discover about that family will make the Schwarzenegger story feel like just the beginning.